Hello and welcome to the first video playthrough of the tiny Arkham. I already set up the game in the previous video, so we're just gonna start playing and I'm gonna explain how the things work as I go. So the game round goes in three phases. First we have a action phase where each investigator can do two actions. Then we have a encounter phase where, depending on the position where the investigator are, depending in which districts are they gonna have encounter. And last phase is the mythos phase, in which we're gonna use this board here to see what kind of things gonna happen in Arkham, and will it spawn some monsters and so on. So during the action phase, each investigator can do two actions, and they can't do the same action twice. So you have to do different actions. That's the main rule. Now we can do lots of things. There are lots of actions you can actually do. So I'm just gonna go through it. So first, we can always move from one spot to another. So basically you can move from one spot in your district to another spot. Then we can travel from one district to another, but to be able to travel from one adjacent district to another adjacent district, you have to be on the street spot. So when you are on the street spot, you can travel to another adjacent district to another street spot. So for instance, from this street spot here, I can move to this street spot here. There is a fast travel where you can actually use a taxi service, but for that you need to spend $1, and then using a taxi you can travel to any district to any spot. So basically, even if let's say I'm here in the church, if I pay a taxi that costs me $1, I can move to any other district, to any spot. Then we can, if there are two investigators in the same spot, they can trade. So we can exchange items, spells, clues, whatever we have, or one investigator can give item, spell, or clue to another investigator. Now the thing in this game, because of the component limitation, you can never hold more than one item. And but you can hold clues. You can place them on your investigator card, like this, on the investigator image, so you know which investigator holds the clue. Then another action we can use is focus action, in which you can either move the focus, so you can move the focus to another skill. In that case, everybody who uses that skill can be able to use the focus. When you use the focus during testing some skill, you're gonna move it to the reset spot, this little token, and then later if you want to focus again, by the way, focus is used to reroll one die. So for instance, let's say right now we are focused on observation. After some investigator test observation and use this focus, he's gonna place it here on the reset position, and well, using the focus like this to rerolling, that doesn't cost an action. But if you want to focus again, you actually have to spend an action. Another thing we can do, we can labor, basically gain $1. You can do that on any spot, but there are some spots that where if you labor, you can actually gain $2. Let me check. I don't think in this scenario we actually don't have any spot that allows labor. No, oh, actually, yeah, here in theater, that's the labor spot. So if someone is in theater, if he uses a labor action, he will actually gain $2. Another action you can do is ward. So how the warding works, depending in which districts you are, you're gonna test your lore, and if you successfully pass the lore test, you can lower the corruption of that district by 1. Then another thing you can do, if you have a clue token, you can do a research action, in which case you can test your observation and place that clue on the old one card. And if we look our mystery right now, which we are doing in the springtime to Carcosa, it says to advance to the next mystery you will need to place 3 clues. So you need to research 3 times. We need to gather clues and then research them. But in this case it says if you want to do a research action you have to first discard 1 spell. So we will need spells. So another action you can do, you can learn spell. That can be also done in any spot on district, but for when you're learning spell you have an option. You can either test your willpower or lore. If you pass the test you're gonna gain 1 spell of your choice. We have spells here in this little Curio Supply B. We're gonna see that later. But here's the deal, if you fail the test when learning the spell you're gonna raise corruption in your district, so you need to watch out for that. Another action you can do, if you have a monster, let's say we have a monster in the districts, and by the way monsters do not go from spot to spot. They are like evil that is constantly present in the districts, and when the monster attacks in the districts, if the monster attack happens, it's gonna attack every investigator in the district, because the monsters actually are like that's not like a singular monster, that's like evil present of multiple monsters in the districts. So you can attack the monster, and if you manage to destroy it you're gonna remove it from the districts. When you want to attack the monster you actually have to check out this monster strength. This is what you need to, you roll 1 die and you need, in this case since corruption is on 2, this shows on 4 plus, you need to get 4 or more. So equal to 4 or more than 4 on the die. You can also evade monster. So let's say we have a monster in this district here. You can, if you want to evade it, you need to pass this test here with the 2 eyes. You actually need to roll 3 or more on the die, and if you successfully evade monster you can move it to any adjacent district. So that's how you get rid of the monsters. Well, that's the it's not a final solution, but it can help you in some cases. By the way, we have normal monsters, those are these purple ones, and we have epic monsters that can get in play later. Right now, as you can see, we don't have any monsters in the districts, but we don't have also any clues. Now to gain some clues we will need, well, it will probably happen either during mythos or during the encounters. We can actually spawn some clues during the encounters. But let's continue with the action. So you can attack monster, evade monster, you can let me check what else. Yeah, you can buy items from the curio shop. You just spend your money and buy anything you want. And there is another action that could be useful, which is called lead. So when 2 investigators, when you are entering the spot where there is already investigator in, you can move that investigator to another spot, basically leading him, telling him where to go. And I think those are all actions. I have a little list here, cheat sheet, which I would need to also spawn later, maybe make it for this mod so it's available here on the table. I will probably put it in PNP. So let's do one turn now with our investigators and let's see how everything goes. So right now we are in the action phase, and considering my mystery I need to gather some spells. Also I will probably want to lower the corruption, because right now if any monster spawns 4+, that's like 50 chances to roll 4 or more on a die. I want to lower that, although even if I lower this it's not gonna help me much. Well, but at least I'm gonna keep corruption low, because as the corruption rises, whenever it gets to the 6 or surpass the 6, the doom's gonna move 1 space, and it's gonna continue moving as long there is a for every district that has a corruption of 6. So we need to watch out corruption in this case. Alright, so let's start with Rachel, and let's see her special ability. She's a clockmaker. She can use an action from her sheet. It says one investigator of your choice can perform an additional action. All the action limitations applies. So she can give one action to another investigator. Okay, let's see what we want to do. So she's on street right now. I think I'm gonna, for my first action, I'm gonna move from street to the small park here. And here, if you check, I have a +1 to ward, which means if I use a ward action, I'm gonna have a +1 on dice. So for my second action, I'm actually gonna ward in this district to lower this corruption. So let's see, let's check her lore. Racial roll is 3+, so I need to roll 3+, although when I roll a die I can add +1 to it. So in this game, whenever something says minus or plus, you add after the roll. So let's roll per lore. I got a 6 +1, that's 7. I successfully warded this location. So we're gonna lower this corruption from 2 to 1. And by the way, this is the lowest corruption that can go, so you can't go beyond 1, and you can't go above 6 basically. I mean, you can, but technically you're just gonna move the dice toward the 6. So those are the two actions with Rachel. Now let's see what Marcel can do. Now I usually play this clockwise order, so Rachel, Marcel, Kai and Amanda. So with him, it says after performing, he also have one passive action because he's an alchemist. It says after performing a successful warding action, you can move one clue token to your space. Well, we don't have any clue tokens right now, but I'm for sure, let me check what he can do here. So he's in the downtown district. If he go to the merchant district, when he uses to buy something, item costs 1 less. In the bank, if he trade, he can gain $1, and in tall building he has a +1 to observation. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna move to the tall building, and then I'm also going to use my warding action to lower the corruption. So his lore is also very good, +3. Roll for that. I got a 4. That's more than enough. I'm gonna lower this corruption to 1. So I'm gonna keep my corruption low. If I manage to lower corruption in at least 3 districts to 1, this corruption tracker gonna move downward once. So maybe I want to do that. We'll see. Okay, let's see Kai Herberts. He's a publisher, so it says discard one focus token to cancel one headline daily effect. Well, that could be really useful during the mythos phase if we have any really bad headline effect. Anyway, he's in south side. If he goes to theater, he can do a labor action, and if he do a labor action, he can get $2. I'm thinking maybe to do that. But since we're gonna probably need spells, I think I'm gonna first try to learn the spell. So let's see, his lore is +3, his willpower is +4. I'm gonna test the lore and try to learn the spell. Let's do that. So I need to get 3 or more on the die. I got a 3, that's more than enough. So now I can take one spell. Now of course I'm gonna lose my taxi driver ally, but I think it's actually better to gain a spell and be prepared later. So let's see, I have a Banishment, Bitter, Insight and Storm of Spirits. I think I'm gonna take a Banishment, because it doesn't really matter, I'm just taking the spell to be able to, if I get some clues later. But this actually could come in handy. Also testing a lore, and if I pass I can remove one non-epic monster in my district and suffer one mental wound. The spell's always gonna have some negative effects, but they also really good when you're using them. Okay, for my second action, I think I'm gonna go to theater and maybe labor. Oh wait, no, I'm actually going to ward also. So let me see. I'm gonna definitely test my lore. So doing warding action, I succeeded and I lowered this to 1. Okay. Uh, let's see. So the next is Amanda. She's astrologer, and it says after die for Mythos effect is rolled, you can spend 1 focus token to reroll that die. That could come in handy during the Mythos. But right now, I think I'm gonna move to the Witch House, and it says free learn spell action. So this means I can learn spell for free. So I'm gonna still have 1 more action. So let's see. I'm also gonna test lore. I failed. Well, since I'm not focused, um, I'm not focused in the lore, but I can spell a focus to reroll. I think I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna spell the focus token and reroll, and I pass, which means I can also learn a spell. Well, I will have to remove my rabbit foot pendant. I will take, let me check. I will also take a banishment. Or no, actually I'm going to take Storm of Spirits. Yeah. And I still have 1 more action, so I'm also going to ward. So let's test the lore. I failed, so I didn't manage to lower that corruption there. Now I can't reroll because my focus is resetted. I actually have to focus one of my skills and then I can spend that focus token later. So yeah, so everybody has done their actions. The next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna check the corruption. So all 3 districts have a corruption of 1. So when you have a majority of that value, you're gonna move your corruption tracker to that value. So right now we are on 1, black 1. It's very important. The monsters still have a plus 4 plus when you have to attack them and 3 plus when you have to wait. So we finish our actions. The second thing we need to do is our encounters. So we also go from the lead investigator in clockwise. So right now Rachel is in north side, so encounter in north side. Now how this works is, you probably notice this little code here, the top corner. Well, this actually tells you how you are going to test some skills. So for instance, if you check here, if the corruption is in white, you're gonna test the skill on the sign of plus, which means in this case it will be low. If the corruption is in red, you will test the 1 up, and if the corruption is in the black, which is right now, you will test 1 down. So in this case, willpower will be the main skill we're going to test during the encounters. Alright, so how the encounters work, you first gonna roll 1 die to see which kind of encounter you're gonna have, and you're gonna have to try to pass it. We're gonna have encounter number 4, which says bells in the church are ominously ringing. Might it be that something terrible has happened? You hurry to investigate. So to pass, poor animal was caught in the bell rope, and if I fail, if I pass, I'm in game 1 Sphinx Cat ally. If I fail, you see a body of that pastor hanging from the ropes, you take 2 mental wounds. So let's hope I do not fail. So as I said, it's black down. If we check what is in the black and what is in the down, it's willpower, so Rachel needs to test her willpower, which is 3 plus. That's pretty good. So I can only fail if I roll if I roll 2, which I failed. So Rachel's gonna now take 2 mental wounds. Now, in this game there are 2 types of wounds. Wounds, like a physical wounds, and mental wounds. They both are kinda important. So when you take a physical wound, you don't, like in the tiny Eldritch, we actually, when you take the wound, you have a wound spot and you would place your little cube to announce your wound. But in this game, whenever you take a physical wound, or it's gonna say on card just a wound, you're gonna increase the corruption in your district by 1, by the number of wounds you take. But if you take a mental wound, you actually can choose a district that you can rise corruption in. So let's see. So I will take 2 mental wounds. So I have to choose one district and rise that corruption by 2. So I think I'm gonna actually choose my district. So from 1, this corruption is gonna go to 3. Bam. So immediately we check which is the highest number. It's 3 right now. And this corruption is gonna jump from 1 to 3. By the way, I played this wrong, sorry, I apologize. I forgot to tell you that you actually check the highest corruption, and this is where this thing needs to be. So in this case she would have to test the lore, but let's just pretend I made a mistake and let's just jump over it. So yeah, corruption is actually in 3 right now. Okay, so her test encounter is done. We go to the Marcel, which is in the downtown district. So let's see. Downtown. Oh, here it is. So let's roll to see what kind of encounters he's going to have. That's number 2. It says shoplifter is pursued by 2 thugs, but you are not sure how to act. Alright, so he needs to test. Let's check our corruption. It's in red. When it's red, he needs to test 1 pointing 1 down. So basically, he needs to test his observation right now. Let's check his observation 4+, so he needs to roll 4 or more. And he failed. Now I'm not focused, so I can't reroll this die. So let's see what happens. Fail. Thugs were trying to recover their pressure relics. Spawn 1 clue token in your district. So the fail is actually good for me. So I need to spawn 1 clue token in my district. Alright, so we take the clue token, and then you will probably notice that all spots in my district have numbers. I'm gonna roll 1 die. I got a 2. We're gonna spawn a clue right on my spot here. So at least I got 1 clue. Alright, go to Herbert's. He's in south side, so we're gonna roll on the south side part. Oh, he got a 1. It says there is a curious play in the local theater called The King in Yellow, which you decide to attend this evening. Alright, so if we check his card, red plus, which means he will need to test his strength, but -1. If we check his strength is 4+, but whatever I roll is going to be -1. I got a 6, -1, that's a 5. He still passes. So let's see. If I pass, if you spend $1, gain 1 random spell. Well, I can do that, but I already have a spell, so I'm just gonna skip that thing. But nothing bad happened. The next is Amanda. She's on the Treasure Hill district. Here it is. See what kind of encounter. Number 5. Says 3 people are killed in the area in a span of a week. You suspect that the patrons of the Silver Twilight have something with that. So we check the red arrow pointing up, so she will need to test her lore -1. If we check her lore, it's 3+, so not so bad. Let's see. 6 -1 is 5, she still passes. So let's see what happens. Pass, you were right. Killer is caught and apprehended. Remove one monster from the board. Well, we don't have any monsters, so it's kind of nothing's gonna happen right now. But still, they all pass their encounters, and after encounters, we go to the Mythos phase. Now, same as for these cards, here it is important to check where your corruption is right now. It's in red, which means we're gonna have a red Mythos advantage. So we're gonna roll and check on this little chart here. So we're gonna roll 2 dice, because let's go from 2 to 12, and we're gonna resolve one by one these icons. So I got a 7, we check here, and we resolve from left to right. So the icon with this little magnifying glass means that we have to spawn 1 clue. So first we check the setup here. We see these numbers, which is gonna tell you in which district we need to spawn a clue. So I'm gonna roll 1 number, so that's 6. That's a district here in the top, the French Hill. Then we roll again to see on which spot. That's number 4, each in the witch house, which is right on the Amanda spot. Nice. The second thing under 7 is the news. So we're gonna have one headline daily effect. So we have to also roll 2 dice to see what kind of daily effects we're going to have. Now these effects are usually ongoing, and they last until the end of the encounter phase on the next turn. So let's say I get 9. It says strange disease running rampant in Arkham. Many people are affected. Hospitals are filling in. It says -1 to all investigator dice rolls. So right now this thing is active. Now you can mark this with something. I usually use my epic monster marker just to know that this is like right now active. Although you can use this little figurine that I'm using for the lead investigator, that can be used too. So I'm gonna place it right here on my, make it a bit small, yeah. And that's it. We passed. We have done the action. We passed some encounters, and we have the Mythos effects. And that would be 1 turn. So I made just one mistake. I apologize. This is basically, I didn't play this mod a lot, and lots of the rules I have on paper, and some of them are like written really badly. But to clear this up, you check the highest value of the corruption, and that's where you actually move this slider. So you move the slider immediately when the corruption just rises. So right now it's on 3. So we'll probably in the next turn have to do something with this corruption, lower it a bit down, because right now monsters are pretty hard to successfully be destroyed and to be evaded if we get any monsters. But good thing is we just got 2 clues, and if I check, let's see, Marcel, he doesn't have a spell, but Amanda do. So if she managed to pick up this clue during the encounter phase, she can then spend the spell to do the research, and we can immediately have at least 1 clue. Doom didn't move because right now all the corruption are in check, so we are fine. In any case, that was 1 turn. I'm gonna stop the video here and continue playthrough on the next video. So thanks for watching, and this is Tiny Arkham. Goodbye.